So you now have your course curriculum and you're ready to start to choose what course platform you should use. So what is the best platform for your course? Let's take a look. Before we do, my name is Kat Sobello. I'm an instructional designer here to help you design, create, and launch an online course. Each week I do put a new video here on my YouTube channel, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so that you are notified of new course creation videos. So let's take a look. Today, I have 3 tips for you to be able to choose the right online platform for your course. So tip number 1, make sure that you do have some type of course curriculum. What I mean by some type is make sure that you have at least a skeleton curriculum or an outline or a rough plan. So consider this your first draft. If you don't have a curriculum ready to go, you can download my course curriculum template from the description below. It's completely free and does have some information on how to create a curriculum. If you do want more information and a step-by-step guide, I do also have a course called Design an Online Course, which you can also access from the description below. So let's have a look at my example. Here I have my curriculum. Now, it's not 100% complete. Here I do have my learning outcomes. I do also have some knowledge, skills, and abilities written down. Now, it is quite complex. It's more than just my first draft, but not 100% completed. I still have some comments where I want to come back and just review everything, but it's a draft. And what it does give me is it gives me an outline of the type of learning experience that I want to provide to my students. It gives me an overview of the type of support that I want to provide. It tells me what type of lessons I want to include and what types of activities, what types of interactions I want the students to have, and then what type of assessments they would have. So it's a rough plan that tells me what I'm going to help my students achieve and how I'm going to support them to do that. Now, this is vital. This stage helps us bring us into tip 2. So tip 2 is from this information, we then create a minimum viable product. So what that means is that we're going to be looking for what are the minimum requirements that I need for a platform that will help me deliver these lessons, that would help me provide this support. So let me show you an example. Here I have a linked MVP. So this is an example of a minimum viable product. Now you can do this however you wish. I've used a platform called Mind Mapping and I've designed my mind map in that platform. That's an online platform. You can find many other online platforms. You can also use Lucidcharts. You can use Google Slides, PowerPoint. You could use Jamboard, whatever you want. A piece of paper. You can even use Word or Google Docs and just write them in bullet points with subpoints. Whatever you want. The point is that you are brainstorming from your online curriculum, your draft, what are the things that you need a platform to do? So let's have a look at some example categories. So for example, you can see here that I've written, okay, do I want downloadable resources? If so, what types of downloadable resources? So that helps me to identify what files can I upload to a platform to allow students to download them. Are they going to be PDFs? Are they going to be writable PDFs? Are they going to be Excel documents? Are they going to be Word documents? What are they? I then also have types of lessons. So how do I want the students to be able to absorb the content? Are they going to just be videos? Are there going to be live webinars? Are there going to be article and blogs? Are there going to be interviews? How do I want to upload the videos? Do I want them to be embedded from YouTube, or am I going to upload the raw MP4 file? What am I going to do? If I do have live webinars, do I want students to continually be able to add comments to that live webinar? Do I want them to be able to replay that video? Right? If they have case studies and stories, I want them to have the ability to stop and ask questions for themselves, to have this reflective experience. So this is me writing down everything that I want the student to be able to do in the platform. I have types of activities. So not just lessons, but activities. So these are types of interactions. So maybe there's quizzes, there's reflective questions, there's gap texts, drag and drops. There might be scenario-based questions through problem-solving activities, or group forums to encourage social learning, Write down all of this. What is the student going to be doing in your platform? And then, of course, you have some of your own requirements. Not only what does the student need to do, but what do you want the platform to do? So we also have our budget. How much are you willing to pay for your first minimum viable product of your course? Are you going to have assessments in your course? And if so, what does the student need to do in those assessments? What type of technology does the student have access to, and do you have access to? For example, if you need the student to access it via their mobile, then you can automatically eliminate Thinkific and maybe look at Kajabi, because Kajabi has a mobile app and Thinkific doesn't. While they can still access it from their phone, it's not as mobile friendly, right? So this is really important. What type of integrations do you need it to do? What type of access to different technologies do you have that you can possibly integrate? What do you want to be able to do? You can see that I'm just giving you all of these different options, but these are important categories to consider. Do you want to be able to look at the student stats? Do you want to be able to look at the progress? Do you want to be able to drip content to students? And then finally, what type of learning journey do you want to provide them? Do you want to give them reminders to bring them back in? Do you want to have gamification? Do you want the students to be able to easily see their progress? Do you want them to access the course on their mobile? Do you want it all in one place? What do you want the student learning experience to be outside of the activities and outside of the lessons? The whole picture. What do you want that to look like? Now that is a lot of information that I have given you. So let me just recap. Tip number 1 is to make sure that you have your course curriculum skeleton or draft. Tip number 2 is to then identify what do you need the platform to do. So what do you need the students to do in the platform for their lessons and for their activities? How do you want them to access it? And what do you want to be able to do in the platform? Now, once you have that, you can then go into tip number 3. And tip number 3 is when you start to research these platforms. So now you're in a perfect spot to not go onto Facebook groups and make the mistake that I see so often and ask a generic question such as, what's the best platform? Should I use Thinkific or Teachable? Should I use Kajabi or Thinkific? Right? Posing these questions opens up a huge discussion. You can see these in many different Facebook groups about online courses, and you can see that a lot of the comments throw questions back, such as, what do you want the platform to do? So once you have all of this, you are now in the perfect spot to be able to ask a very focused question in Facebook groups, such as, my product or my course, my students need to be able to do X, Y, Z, and I need to have access to ABC. What platforms do you recommend? What are your suggestions? And you can see how now our question in our research phase has changed from being generic to being very specific. And as a result, you'll have very specific answers. So follow these 3 tips to be able to choose the best platform for your online course for both you and your students. Remember, each week I do post new videos here on my YouTube channel. So if you do have any questions about this video in particular or any future videos that you would like to see, add them into the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you are notified of new course creation videos. Until next time, happy course creating!